Good evening. As you all know, I'm a former Hamilton County school teacher of 8 years. I am here this evening to shed light on what teachers are having to experience on a daily basis. I remember being a young girl and loving school. I worked hard to get good grades and I loved learning. I also had some exceptional teachers in my life who I adored. I was thankful for the boundaries I had in school and the respect that was expected from my teachers and principals. There was a healthy level of honor and respect toward teachers and principals then that we often do not find in today's culture. I knew I wanted to be a teacher from those young years in high school. Teaching was a calling that God placed in my heart to be there for young children going through hard times and to be a person in their life that was steady and had good intentions for them. As a single mom, I returned to school while my son was in elementary to finish my bachelor's in multidisciplinary studies. I was excited and optimistic about my future and the influence I would be able to have on young minds and encouraging them to be the best person they were created to be. There are many things I could address about why I made the heartbreaking decision to resign from teaching, including the awful administrator that bullied me insistently before I resigned and before he was fired from the district, but I would rather focus on one topic specifically this evening: student behavior. It is out of hand, to say the least. It is discussed here often. It is discussed in homes and family and friendly conversations across the entire county, and it is most definitely discussed amongst teachers. I'll give you one example of behavior that was out of control a few years ago in my classroom. I had a student come from out of town who identified as a furry. None of us had ever experienced this before, so I was told to let the student do what he wanted and pass him on. I wanted to look the child in the eyes and tell him he was not created in the wrong body, and God had a beautiful plan for his life. I was terrified to do it though, and didn't. I definitely regret not saying that to him. Not only was that child not addressed appropriately and not held to the code of acceptable behavior with his walking around my class meowing while everyone else tried to work, but the other children were no doubt affected by this situation. I couldn't talk to the other parents about what their children were going through because I would have violated a HIPAA law since this was considered a mental illness. I was heartbroken. The fact that the administration did nothing to enforce the code of acceptable behavior in this situation caused problems not only in my classroom, but the entire school. After that situation, I saw the violence of students start to increase in the school I was teaching in. This story is really no different than most stories from every school environment where teachers who have walked away have trustingly told me their experience. Teachers have no support in holding students accountable for their behavior. Kids are not dumb. They see one kid getting away with anything that goes against the code of behavior and not being held accountable. You can bet they see the opportunity to do it also. I had some amazing students who wanted to learn. They were ready when they walked into the classroom, and it was extremely unfortunate that the misbehavior of the small number of unruly students was not addressed so that the students who were there to learn were respectful could get the education they deserve. I have been out of the classroom 2 years now and can only imagine the problems teachers are facing. As you know, over 400 teachers resigned from the district last year, and every single one of them I talk to refuses to go back to teaching. This is a travesty. You have literally run off the very people who wanted to teach, were called and destined to teach, and at one point gave all of their life to educating children because that's what they wanted to do no matter what. At this time, I call on the former teachers of Hamilton County who have walked away with their hearts broken to be bold and stand up and speak the truth. I know this is not easy, but I want you to know you are not alone. I hope you will be brave and courageous for the children who are still in these schools and are not getting the education they deserve because of the out-of-control behavior that is not being dealt with. Superintendent Robertson, Deputy Superintendent Stewart, and board members, you have a God-given responsibility to keep these children safe and protect their innocence. I'm standing in the gap to hold you accountable right now, but at some point you will have to answer to God who gave you this responsibility. Thank you for listening.